Today, we're tackling a huge topic, cancer care in India. But this isn't just about health, it's about big business. We're talking about a national health crisis on one side and a multi-billion-dollar industry on the other. It's a story of massive demand, some really serious systemic challenges, and a private sector that's growing at an absolutely breathtaking pace. Okay, let's get right into it. So, first things first, you gotta understand that for a lot of private hospitals, the cancer department, or oncology, isn't just another wing of the building. Nope, it's the financial engine. It's what keeps the lights on and then some. As you're about to see, treating cancer has become one of the biggest moneymakers in the entire Indian healthcare landscape. Now, what's really wild is the sheer scale of this. Take a look at this chart from Max Healthcare, India's largest hospital chain. See that top bar? Oncology brings in over a quarter of their entire revenue. I mean, that's more than double what they make from cardiac sciences or orthopedics combined. This isn't just a small lead, it's total dominance. And you might think, okay, maybe that's just one company, but it's not an isolated case. At Fortis, another major chain, their oncology revenues shot up by 28% in just a single year. That kind of explosive growth tells you there's a fundamental shift happening in the market. Which, of course, brings us to the big question, right? How did treating one of the world's most devastating diseases become such a gold mine? Well, to answer that, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture of what's happening all across the country. You see, the foundation of this whole business boom is, unfortunately, a national health crisis. India is grappling with a rapidly growing number of cancer cases, and that's creating an absolutely overwhelming and urgent demand for specialized treatment. And let's make this personal for a second. An 11% lifetime risk, that means more than 1 in 10 people in India will face a cancer diagnosis at some point. That really brings the scale of this challenge right into our own communities. And here's the national picture. We're talking about more than 1.5 million new cases diagnosed in just 1 year. This isn't some problem for the future. It's a massive present-day reality that our system is really struggling to handle. Now, meeting this demand comes at a staggering cost, up to 27 lakh rupees for treatment. That huge price tag is driven by specialized doctors, advanced tech, and expensive diagnostics. So what you end up with is a huge pool of patients facing these incredibly high costs. Okay, so if the need is so great, where's the public healthcare system in all of this? Well, this is where we start to see the cracks in the foundation. The government does have programs, but they're struggling with some really deep-seated issues, and that creates a huge opening for the private sector to step in. And really, it all boils down to 3 core problems. Infrastructure that's just failing, a critical shortage of top-tier doctors, and care that's just not available to everyone equally. Let's break each of those down. So here's a perfect example of that infrastructure problem. At one of the largest state-run cancer hospitals, an absolutely essential tool like an MRI machine can be broken for weeks at a time. For a patient, what does that mean? It means a devastating delay in getting diagnosed and treated, and often there's no other choice. Then you have the talent crunch, or what some people call a brain drain. Between 2022 and 2024, over 400 doctors just up and resigned from AIMS, which is supposed to be the country's premier public medical institution. These are the top specialists, and when they leave, they often head straight to the private sector, taking their expertise with them and leaving the public hospitals totally understaffed. And finally, there's the huge issue of access. In a region like the Northeast, almost all of the cancer care facilities are in the cities, but the vast majority of people live out in rural areas. This forces patients to travel incredibly long distances, and often they only seek care when the disease is already at an advanced and much less treatable stage. So what you have is a public system that's struggling with equipment, with staffing, and with just reaching people. This creates a vacuum. And right into that vacuum steps the private sector, which is perfectly positioned to capitalize on these very weaknesses. And their playbook, their strategy, it's remarkably simple and effective. First, they can raise a ton of money fast. Second, they use that money to attract the best doctors, the ones leaving the public system. And third, they package everything together into this seamless, all-in-one experience for the patient. Let's look at that first step, mobilizing capital. Max Healthcare is pouring a massive 6,000 crore rupees into expanding. This lets them buy state-of-the-art technology like the MR LINAC machine, which is this incredible fusion of an MRI and radiation therapy. Owning rare, advanced equipment like that lets them command premium prices. And this slide really shows the biggest difference, the actual patient experience. In the public system, you're often forced to run around between different centers for your scans, then your surgery, then your chemo. It's a fragmented, exhausting, and stressful journey. But in the private hospitals, they offer a one-stop shop where everything is under one roof. For an exhausted patient and their family, that's a huge, huge advantage. So we've seen the scale of the crisis and the reasons why the private sector is thriving, which really begs the question, what does the future hold? How can India make sure that quality cancer care is available to everyone and not just the people who can afford to pay top dollar? The ultimate goal, as this quote puts it, is to build a future where high-quality cancer care is a right for everyone, not a privilege that depends on your bank account or where you live. But, getting there is going to take a whole new way of thinking. One of the key ideas that's gaining a lot of traction is a partnership model. The thinking goes like this. What if you could combine the public sector's reach and its mission for affordability with the private sector's cash, its technology, and its efficiency? This public-private partnership, or PPP model, is all about trying to leverage the best of both worlds. And that really leaves us with this final thought. We've got a system where one side is completely overwhelmed and the other side is booming. Is bringing them together through partnerships the best way or the only way to bridge this massive gap? Or are there other solutions we need to explore to truly make sure every single person in India has access to the care they need? It's something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.